Welcome back to Pod by the Bay, presented by the Bay Examiner, and also presented by Homefield Apparel. You can use our code BAE15 for 15% off your first order at Homefield, or you can use our affiliate link in the description. You get to see some great Homefield stuff. Helps us out as well. So if it's your first time, use code BAE15 for 15% off order. We did the math last time. If you order enough things, you can basically get something for free. So use code BA15 on your first order for 15% off. And then if you're a return customer, use our affiliate link in the description of the video and the podcast. That helps the site out, and you still get that great high-quality Homefield apparel. Steeg, I see we are kind of cousins tonight in our apparel.
We're somewhat matching like boys do. You know what we do? We don't wear the exact same thing. We wear similar things.
I've got my short chair, but I'll
stand up there.
There you go.
Rise to the occasion.
Need to get my taller chair. Office is almost done, but the tall chair has not come in, so we're still in a bit of a short man chair here. So that's why I look like a baby, as Steve said to me off camera. Baby. So here we are. Let's go on to, again, BA15, 15% off your first order at Homefield Apparel. And if you've already been, use our affiliate link. Helps us out and helps you out because you get some nice Homefield stuff, which is the best stuff in the game. So, Steeg, eventful week in USF athletics. We've had some men's basketball, some women's basketball. We're kind of in that full swing of there's a lot of things happening now.
Yeah.
And now you're adding in new sports. You've got in women's lacrosse now, which had we'll talk about them towards the end, but had a great debut here this past week. You got, but women's and men's basketball are kind of gearing up towards the end of their seasons. Men's basketball, since we last spoke, won the kind of the game honoring Amir Abdur-Rahim, the Love Wins, the whiteout. They had the T-shirts and everything. I spoke about that last week. Encouraged people, hey, if you can go. It's kind of the tale of the season, right? They win one game. There's a tight game, and the next game is another tight game when they end up losing that one. So just consistently inconsistent, or just not able to quite finish enough of these games. They are now sit at 12-12 on the season, I believe. Or no, what are they?
12-13, I think.
So tough spot to be in, but and they have a tough game coming up on this Thursday night as well, playing Memphis. Legacy night honoring Arthur Jones. So you got to play Memphis and UAB back to back. That'll be, I'd say, by far the toughest 2-game stretch of the season. The only one close in terms of ratings would be Loyola Chicago and Utah State, but both of these teams are better than those two teams. Memphis is better than Utah State. UAB is better than Loyola Chicago. So this will be a tough test, especially with USF's kind of lack of size at times. UAB seems to be a tough matchup. But they really got kicked off last year, the kind of big run and a lot of the positive momentum with that win against Memphis last season. Steeg, is there any chance we can see that repeat itself here? Where you get a big win against Memphis and it can kind of propel you to a little run? There's not enough. I don't think there's enough. There's not enough runway to get you into the tournament unless you totally win out. But win a conference tournament. But could this kind of set them on a nice path here?
Yes. Sorry, women's basketball stuff is happening.
1-point game with about like a minute and a half left, it looks like.
Yeah. But no, I mean, the thing, like everything we talked about it, everything that could go wrong for USF this season basically has in like the worst possible way. They're constantly injured. They don't have like any positive momentum. They're extremely inconsistent on the boards. This game against Wichita State, they got out rebounded on the offensive board 17-3, and that'll do it. Like that's there's no other like you can't fix that really. Like there's no amount of coaching that your size disadvantage is just coming to fruition at this point. So for USF at this point, like Deontay Green is probably out for the season, at least from what we're hearing. Corey Walker is hurt, injured still, maybe, I don't know, but just not consistently there. So all you have is Jamil Reynolds, the big, and most teams are probably rocking 2 big guys on their team.
And he's played well, but it's hard when you're the only guy, right?
Yep. And so, it's just I don't think they have much juice left in them to really make any noise here. Like I think the unfortunate part is I think everyone is just kind of waiting for the season to just mercifully end at this point. And not saying it in like a negative way towards this team. This team is still going to be gritty and fight for what they have in front of them, but they just seem like they don't have the juice. Like they had that big game against Temple. It was honoring Amir. You could kind of feel the emotions in that game. And then just on, the very next game, they just came out unbelievably flat. It's frustrating to watch it. I get it, but like, I can't blame them either. Like they're a rudderless ship that's, missing a lot of holes in it at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been a tough year for them, and I think there are probably questions to be made, like there are in every basketball season, about certain little coaching decisions. But like you said, I think at this point, it's kind of everyone's still playing hard, but I'm sure there will be some type of relief when the season is over, and they can kind of reset a little bit. And I'd imagine. I mean, we haven't heard anything on this, but I'd imagine there will be some type of program type reset. So who knows what it looks like next year? I would imagine it looks quite different, just based on how it's going and just kind of the general direction of college sports that, guys don't tend to hang around too much when it's not going real well. So
right, and even if it is going well, they don't.
We saw last year, yeah. If it goes really well, sometimes they don't hang around either. I saw a stat, and I think it's like this is a really good one, especially if you're a USF fan, to kind of keep in mind. Now, this was football related, but it was something like what percentage of all conference players from the Power 5 or Power 4 or whatever it is now transferred, and it was all conference player was like in the teens. Transferred, and then it was what percentage of G5 all conference players transferred, and it was 65%. So, like, if you have an all conference player at this point right now, and basketball may be a little bit different because there is some, like Gonzaga is not a Power 5 team, but if you have all conference performers, as of right now, it's more likely than not that they will transfer. So. I'd imagine whatever form the basketball team takes next year will be quite different. So just cheer them on for the rest of the games. Should be a fun. I mean, you got a good team in Memphis coming to town. I think they're doing kind of a blackout, or they're wearing the black and the slime. So yep. I think the SoFlo Rodeo is handing out black shirts. So there might be like an organized blackout here, a non-official blackout, but always good to ruin somebody else's season, even if yours isn't going great. So they got that to look forward to. We've got let's move on to women's basketball. Do you have anything else to say on men's? I mean, it is what it is at this point, really.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That's all it is. That's all you can say.
Women. All right, so let's move on to women's basketball. They just went final.
Yep.
Against Rice, they lost. Really, just kind of. I don't know. I'll have to look at. I wonder how it is for the team for the year. But it certainly seems like when they don't shoot well from three, it's really tough. It's hard for them to win. Just because they don't have. I don't know if it's just because they don't have to me, that's kind of the biggest thing missing, right? Is that kind of 3-point shooting. You've got a couple of the girls are really good shooters, but it's just not. If one of them's off, then basically you can't make threes. Right? Sammy Puisis, I think, ended up with 2 of 10 from 3 on the night. They lose by 3. If she makes closer to her season averages, they're going to overtime or win.
Right.
So it's like, Blasig was 0 for 2. She's been shooting really well, but nobody else really shoots a ton. So it's tough. You're not going to win very many games. Looking at the Rice game here that just finished, Rice shot 67% from 3. USF shot 18% from 3. Both shot 50% from free throw line. Weren't a lot of fouls until the end of the game. But overall, Rice shoots 53%. USF's able to stay in it because they turned Rice over a ton. But still, 15 turnovers, only were able to get 9 points off those turnovers. So USF did get some offensive rebound chances, it looks like. Outshot. So this is this is one of those ones where you're like, all right, is this a little fluky? Both teams made 25 field goals. Rice shot the ball 47 times. USF shot the ball 64 times. So shot it 17 more times than Rice, and we're not able to come away with the win. So tough break there. And, at this point.
Hold on. Just hit a 3.
Oh, my God. How? There's like 1 second left. What happened? Oh, my Lord.
Malia Fisher from Rice threw the ball out of bounds when Rice had possession.
Oh, my Lord. Well, live, this will be an interesting one to go back and listen to.
Yeah.
Forget what I said. So 3 of 11, that's probably closer to her season average. So now you're going to overtime. Holy cow.
I was going to say, the worst part about this stat line.
It's still an unbelievable. Like, the stat line is insane.
This is where I'm getting peeved. And this is where I think you can kind of be like, all right, just wasn't their night kind of thing if it ended up being that way.
That's the fastest freezing cold take of all time, I think.
Yeah, probably. The people watching this tomorrow are going to be like, oh, yeah.
So it went to 0-0 on stat broadcast. I didn't have the game pulled up. I just had the stat broadcast. It was dead 0-0s. And so I started my diatribe. What a fool I was.
Prior to that moment, if we're going to go back 2.5 minutes, USF had forced 14 Rice turnovers. Now, Seth, how many points do you think USF had off of 14 turnovers? That's a lot.
I was saying it was before that last 3. It was 9 points.
9.
And that's like you. And if you look at now this would be obviously an unbelievable snatching victory from the jaws of defeat here. But you look at the offensive rebounds numbers too. 14 offensive rebounds. So 14, and then you've got 18 more shots than them, and you were losing. So it was just one of those nights. Now, obviously, there's a timely 3 made, and we were talking about 3-point shooting. So that's pretty cool. Live, I'd be interested to hear the radio call for that one.
Yeah, that's going to be if it's Derek, it's got to be good. But
Vito, if you're any kind of producer, you'll insert it right here.
Yes, Vito, please find it.
I'm not going to make you do that, Vito.
No. But yeah, I guess the good. Well, this is the part that I was looking at as a positive right now is that USF is by all accounts a very even team, which is weird. Everyone that's checked in tonight has scored. Everyone that plays for the University of South Florida women's basketball team can score. They're just not consistent at it. Like, none of them are consistent enough to be super threatening. Like Laura, Sammy, Carla, Rami, they all can have their nights. Like Vicky can have her night every once in a while. Mama Dembele, you kind of have as a defensive presence, ball manager, and everything like that. But they don't have anyone that's just consistently getting them 25 points per game. And you probably won't get that in the group of 5 at this point. You just kind of need 3 suitable girls who can just, get you where you need to go, which they do. They're just having an off night. And that's the sucky part. And they've had off nights before, that UAB game. But then when they're on, I mean, UTSA game, the Temple game, like all of these games, UNT, they were on it like the entire time. It's just they need that one dial to just keep going the entire way through.
It seems like this is what I was kind of saying. It seems like if Sammy Puisis isn't like shooting well, it's really tough for them to. It becomes a real grinded out game for them. Since we last spoke, USF is up in the net to 66. They were around 68, I think. They've been in that 67, 68, 66 range. So, we're kind of monitoring this Rice game, but since we last spoke, they played and beat Temple. They have Rice here. They end the season. They play at Florida Atlantic, a team they absolutely demolished when they played earlier this year. Play at Charlotte, a team they beat in overtime. Memphis, at Tulsa, and East Carolina for senior night. So I think if you're able to kind of come out and win this game, there is a chance for them to run the table here. But we'll see. I at this point, they seem like they're probably, unless they run the table and maybe make it to the championship game of the conference tournament, they probably need to win the conference tournament to get in the big tournament, right? That's kind of what we're thinking right now.
I don't see a way, because like the problem is, I mean, this is the toughest 4-game stretch that they've had between they're playing basically the 4 best teams in the conference preseason wise. So you had to win some of these games like really big. That UAB loss is just going to linger too much for so they have to win the tournament or the AAC at this point.
Yeah, and it seems like or some of their early season games, just the like the TCU game, the kind of score in that one, that Grand Cayman tournament was not a great one for them.
Right.
Winning against Duke still looking pretty good, I think. So
they have that going for them. Like they have a quad 1 win. They battled basically everyone that they played.
Yeah, Duke is 13th still, so they're still a top 25 team. So that'll be helpful. But right. A couple bad losses.
Yeah.
So they'll probably have to win the conference tournament. And there's only been 1 point scored in overtime, so it's one of those kind of games. Is the Discord going insane for that one there?
Yeah, I said, and I quote, I said the Bulls lose at 8:43, and someone goes, "Oh, am I behind?" I said, "No, but you aren't hitting a 3 when the other team has possession here." And then,
well, you fool,
you idiot.
All right, let's move on. I think we'll see kind of what the fallout from this women's basketball game. They play again on Saturday. Again, that's FAU team that they throttled earlier. So I'd imagine that one would be a good game. And then they'll play at Charlotte on Tuesday. So they play, 3 games in like a 6-day span here. So that'll be interesting. They're it feels like it's a little bit more than normal, but a Tuesday game after a Saturday game seems like a quick turnaround, but especially traveling to both. So that could be tough. So that Charlotte game might be a tough one there. If they can get through this next stretch, going into Memphis, that should be very nice and helpful for their conference tournament standings here. So, all right, Steeg, let's move on. There's a lot to talk about. So let's head up. We've got a little women's basketball. Signing day, we talked before signing day. Any big surprises for you or anything you've heard from Golish? I heard him talk with Jay Retcher today. Good stuff. Go ahead and listen to it. It's on YouTube. The Byron Brown stuff was probably the most newsworthy stuff. And it wasn't really even, news, but there was some, talk about how excited he was for year 2 in the system and how that really guys tend to kind of vault there. And so hopefully, he talked about him turning 19 years old. So Byron, he's on the Ryan Williams track, but nobody was talking about it apparently. So where he was 17 early in his college career. So it'll be interesting to see Hopefully, he is good to go for spring. I'd imagine he would be, right?
Yeah, he's
He's not one of
a good
these
amount of rest,
off-season.
I think.
He's not one of these off-season surgery guys, right? I don't think so. I think he got his surgery pretty early. I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
So, signing day. Any surprises?
So we knew about Dorian Mallory, the defensive back from LaSalle. We mentioned that. We had a feeling there was probably going to be another one at least, and then there was another one on top of that. So USF ended up getting. We knew about Richard Scott, the third. Bulls lead for the first time, 65-64 with 46 seconds left. So I'm stalling. So we knew about those two, and then we just kind of had that feeling that there was going to be a third one, and it mounted into Dre Butler, who was a defensive lineman from Charlotte transferring over. So overall, exactly what I kind of expected it to be. USF was not going to like go too hard into the portal. That's kind of how we expected it to be. There wasn't much that they needed outside of that, which was the nice part. Like they didn't need to, really harp on like any sort of position at that point. It was all just basically luxury takes at that point. Golish kind of highlighted, that they're wanting to build a team through the high school ranks, which we knew. We've talked about it plenty of times that the way you're going to build this program is through high school, and you're going to patch holes through the transfer portal. And that's basically what it looked like this year. You needed like a veteran wide receiver to come in, and you got one with Chaz Nimrod. You needed like a few plug and play guys here and there for certain moments. You get Dre Butler, you get Duclanis and a few others. So like overall, but you really hit your home runs out of high school. Getting guys like Christian Tate and Lachlan Hewlett. I think that's the better way for USF to continue to build this roster and build this program up is through, recruiting at a high level from high school, beating out Power 4 programs, and then just every once in a while being like, oh crap, so-and-so decided to leave. Let's get an offensive lineman in here to replace it. So all is good. I mean, good signing day, nice and quiet, done by like 8:15 a.m. It was perfect.
Yeah, so it's this is an interesting one, I think. The Dre Butler. It looks like he was a JUCO player. I wonder, is he taking advantage of the JUCO extra year? Is that kind of the thing that's happening here?
I think you have to like sue for it. I think I try to look at it. So Dre Butler, will be candid, is very much a journeyman. This is going to be his sixth school technically.
Yeah, so it looks like he was a JUCO at Independence. Coming out of JUCO, he was the number 1 strong side defensive end, the number 4 rated player nationally in junior college for his class, which I think was 2020. So I don't know if he's getting. I thought the COVID years might be out. I don't know if he's getting that JUCO year back. But yeah, he's been around the block. I think he's been at Auburn. He's been at Michigan State. He's been at Charlotte, where he's coming from last. It looks like he was at Liberty, maybe possibly, according to this timeline.
Yeah, he's been around the block, man.
Went from Liberty to Michigan State, then Michigan State to Charlotte, and then from Charlotte to USF. But he's a guy that's flashed in the past. He's 6'5", 280 pounds, where he was coming out of JUCO. So interesting take. Listed 6'5", 290 now. So I think probably worth a shot with his pedigree. Give him a shot. If he can stick, it's a 1 year, it's a kind of a 1 year rental type deal. He's highly motivated because it's his last year. If you get the best version of him, you might be getting a really good player. So, and it never helps to have more big bodies down the defensive line. So
precisely
worth it.
That's the thing, is that if he gets 7 tackles this year, it was worth it. Rice is shooting 2 free throws. It is 65-65.
Oh, my Lord.
On the second one, Laura Imputu has fouled out, and they missed the second one. So now we are tied.
Rebound by Ms. Brito,
who has 8 rebounds. So
yes,
there.
12 points, 8 rebounds. Good night for her.
Yeah, we're gonna get some Diakite action. Some women's basketball news. Actually, I can't share that news. Oh God,
Ponderosa.
Ponderosa time.
Yeah. Well, Steve will share that in the Ponderosa. If you're a member of the Patreon, $10 a month, you'll get that information here in a little bit. Let's move on from football, which I think that's pretty much it for the week. Kind of the thinking of signing day. A lot of it we talked about on last week's Ponderosa. Dre Butler was kind of the one that I don't. Did you have any inkling on that one, or is that one that was kind of an out of left field one?
That was the out of left field. Like I said, I thought it'd be a linebacker, but I just knew it was someone on defense. Like you can always just grab like a straggler on defense.
Yeah. Depth never hurts on that side of the ball. So,
right.
Moving on to softball, which I believe won 2 games today.
Yeah, won a doubleheader against Florida Gulf Coast.
I saw a moonshot home run hit out of the stadium, just about.
Yeah, hit it out of Hillsborough County Incorporated.
So, and then a couple of nice web gems there. So, early season, it was kind of the first game of the year was that Michigan, a very good Michigan team. And then, Steeg, you were kind of worried about the Bats.
Yeah.
I guess Delaware was the
Delaware,
first, but
yeah.
Michigan was the early game. So they started off 2-0, then had Michigan. And that was the one you were a little bit worried about, the Bats, and they ended up losing that game 1-0. So, looks like they are. Is the second doubleheader over?
Yes, it ended like 15 minutes ago, I think. Like right in the middle of this. Well, Sammy was about to hit that 3. Yeah, they
double
won the
overtime.
Game. Yeah, double overtime. Softball won the first game 12-4. And then they won the second game 5-2 today. They run ruled Rice in the 5th inning in that first game, and then just this past game, it was really the tale of 2 very, very different games. USF in the first game, actually both teams in the first game, just consistently were hitting like just dinger singles. USF prevailed at the end, clearly. To just pile through basically a true freshman making their like season debut. I think Florida Gulf Coast just kind of wanted out of it at that point. USF was up like 7-4. Clearly, they weren't going to get much more out of it, so they were go to the bullpen, get out of there. And then the second game, Belle Sarja got the start and had a no-hitter until the 6th inning. She had to come in for relief at the end of the first game. So she technically threw a no-hitter. She threw a no-hitter in the final inning of the first game and then went 6 innings with no hits, but we won't count that. But then wheels kind of fell off a little bit for USF. They were up 5-0. Again, weren't really sweating it too much. All's good there. But overall, about what I expected them to be. Michigan was going to be a tough team to beat, especially going up against their ace, which was going to be their first game of the season.
Maybe that's where I got it from.
Yeah, and then you get blessed by always having to play Florida early in the year as well, with 4 All-Americans and an All-American pitcher behind them. So, what are you going to do about that one? But overall, they played well. The Bats are still a little inconsistent for my taste, but I think they'll get a little bit better as the season goes on. Their 7, 8, 9 hole right now is not hitting well at all, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 are hitting very, very well. So you're kind of like you need it to even out a little bit. I think Ramirez, I think, is hitting. It has like a 714 batting average right now. One girl has like a 714.
That's like a slow pitch softball batting average.
So, but all's fine there.
I think my dad was hovering around there, and then he lost the batting title because he missed the game because I was born. Mm-hmm. He likes to remind me of that every year. It's not always happy birthday. It's happy birthday. I'll never forget this day.
I'll never forget
because I lost the batting title. Yeah. I think he was hitting about 725, 723, somewhere there. All right, so softball has the Fonseca Memorial Tournament coming up with Penn State, Loyola, Chicago, and St. John's. Softball seems like it's a really good, like, spectator sport. Like, you go and you get typically more than often you get more than one game. It seems like,
Yeah,
early in the
especially these
season.
early tournaments. You could go to like in like 2 weeks. You can go to the Red, and you can watch like 3 USF softball games. Actually, you can watch like 6 softball games.
So
And
they
then
got
two
the South
baseball
Florida
games.
Showdown coming up, and a couple. So they got this Fonseca Memorial Tournament. So you'll get there's probably I think there's 3 games on the first day. I would assume maybe 4. Yeah, there's 4 games starting at 9 a.m. St. John's at Penn State, and then USF plays back to back, and then there's 4 more games on the 15th, and then there's games on the 16th. So 2 games on the 16th. So like these tournaments, I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck here. Interesting that like. The interesting part to me looking at the softball schedule is like you play Michigan again coming up here pretty soon. You play Louisville twice within kind of a 3-day span, but in different setups. One seems like a one-on-one. Also coming up, you're going to the Longhorn Invitational in Texas, where you got to play Texas, who right now is number 1 in the country. So not the easiest schedule, but they are 5-2 through 7. I'd imagine they'll kind of sweep through this tournament as well. It looks like they've got more wins than the rest of the teams combined, so that's always a good sign. Double overtime, USF's down 1.
Keep my eye on it
and
over
the
here.
new. Let's talk about the new kids on the block. Lacrosse,
Oh yeah.
excellent, excellent opener. It seems like it was very well attended. They have another game coming up this week, but really good stuff. Beat
Beat the lights out of Kennesaw State.
Champions of Georgia right now. Beat Kennesaw 2-0 against the state of Georgia. Beat Kennesaw State 19-6. And then won at Mercer. So won their first ever road game, 11-8 against Mercer. And now you've got on Valentine's, you've got Lehigh coming into town, and then Florida will be coming into town on the 18th. So they're hitting the ground running here.
Yeah, I mean this previous game against Mercer. Mercer is like Big South champion. 3 years in a row, preseason champions or slated to win. Preseason pick by the coaches to win for a 4th straight year. So they're quite good. So that was a really good test by USF. But yeah, man, they play a fun style of lacrosse. I don't know too terribly much about lacrosse, but they are very fun to watch. Very quick, very spry game.
Well, that was kind of when Mindy McCord got the job and you started to do research on her. That was kind of their thing, is they wanted to be really like high paced. So it seems like it'll be a fun spectator sport. And if you I don't know about lacrosse, I'm still learning. Go out and watch it. You can learn by watching. Then you also might see a John Harbaugh there. So you might do some celebrity sightings there at the lacrosse games. It seemed like the first game was a huge success on campus. I'd imagine, especially with the style of play, that could be a fun ticket for students as well. So it should be a really, really fun follow. We'll have some coverage of lacrosse games upcoming, and over almost 2,400 fans out for the first game. So really, really good stuff there. Bo Kimball was even there. I'm learning lacrosse. We need to get Coach McCord on to teach us. Maybe she did do. I think the house account pointed it out, but she did kind of break down one of their games a little bit after the game on Twitter, and that was pretty fun. See Coach kind of giving a breakdown of the game kind of immediately, and I think she understands that she's got to sell the sport a little bit. And teach it to people. So she's doing a really good job. we'll see if we can get her with somebody, or we'll definitely have somebody out covering some games. So that should be another fun addition to the USF sports calendar. Steeg, anything else this week?
No, the thing is we're in full crossover season.
I mean, track's still doing good things, but I don't know if they've had anything since we last spoke.
They competed in like 3 events. They had like an event in Gainesville, an event in Harvard, and an event at Boston, and they did pretty well across the board. I think 2 major highlights from that weekend was Montora from our track team won the 400 meter and set an indoor program record. So now he owns the indoor and the outdoor 400 meter record for USF men's track. And then Kobe Babin got first place in pole vault, and broke his own indoor record, or broke the indoor record there. So now he owns both the indoor and the outdoor program records there. So a really cool moment for USF track and field. They had a lot of podium finishes. They did extremely well across the board. Great little game, or great little weekend for them.
And we don't need to talk about tennis. Is that correct?
We will eventually talk about tennis, but that's at the appropriate time.
And now is not it. Tie ball game with 1:15 left.
USF got the rebound, so
you have to listen to the Ponderosa if you want to know who won this game. It won't be posted anywhere else. It'll just be exclusively in the Ponderosa. So if you want to know who won this USF Rice game, double overtime thriller, you need to join the Patreon. $5 to get you access to the Discord. And that's kind of our insider message board. So we have the Ponderosa section of the Discord. That's where you get all our little nuggets. Like Steeg put some of the signing class surprises in there early. So you knew the night before signing day who kind of the second man might be, so to speak. Any news we get that we can share, we put it in there immediately and share that around. $10 gets you the extra podcast, which we're about to go record. It's usually one a week, and if depending on how things are going, that could also include film rooms, things of that nature, extended content. So, but you get at least one extra week, so typically 4 a month. So $10 and that includes the Patreon section of the Discord. And then our highest tier, you get some free merch. And we just sent out some goodie bags, and you've seen some hats popping up on social media. We sent some stickers, all kinds of stuff. A nice little goodie bag for that highest group. We'll try to do that quarterly. So looking back, doing our taxes, we spent a lot of money traveling last year, which is why we are trying to make money so we can travel more games and cover it better. So if you're enjoying our stuff, please share it with your friends. Join the Patreon. Help us grow so we can travel more and cover more and provide coverage in a different way than I think anybody else is doing it in this space, in a more positive way than most people are doing in this space, I think. So, Steeg, always a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely.
Let's go record the Ponderosa. I'm sure you're going to give all the inside nuggets there. And then we'll tell you who won this game. It's tied with 39 seconds left. If you want to know, join the Ponderosa. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.